Paranormal Polly here. Today I have Colleen and her sister here to talk about their haunted house story. Hi guys.
Hi. Thank you for helping us. We appreciate this.
Oh, I can't wait to hear your story.
We had a huge family. We were Irish and Catholic, lots of us. So we've always lived in big houses. Mom and Dad had found a house on Staten Avenue that was actually 3 stories. And I count the attic as a 3rd story. So with a huge house like that and all of us kids, we would have our friends come over. And Dad worked all the time. Mom was usually gone doing her thing. We never realized for a while that there was odd things happening. We were in that house for almost, I'd say 2 years. And it really wasn't until after our brother Tony was born that all of a sudden we would hear babies cry, and we would be holding Tony and we're like, whoa, where is that coming from? We have had episodes in there where we would hear a woman scream. And I'm telling you, the type of a scream would make you sit up and you could hear it like right in the room. We had a friend who was over and heard that, and he jumped up. He's going, you guys are doing this. And he ran out and opened the front door, walked on the patio. He didn't hear a thing on the patio. He came back in. He could hear it. He shut the door and he just looked at us. He goes, whoa.
We were used to it.
As things had happened, my mom had found out that the house, which is built in the 1800s, had been owned by a doctor. From what the real estate company had told my mom, this doctor had been performing illegal abortions. And on the 2nd floor, in what Colleen, I just realized, was my bedroom, the girls' big bedroom. That had that, remember the closet with the little sink in it?
Yep.
That's where he would perform the abortions. It was in that room.
Sink in it?
No, it was our room, the girls' room.
It was the room we slept in, yeah. But we did not know that at the time. And, as kids, once the things started happening, we were scared and yet excited and kind of like, whoa, is this really going on? So my mom always had us all bring our friends over. I'd rather have them all here than you guys be out in the streets. So we happened to be one day, I swear, we had to have Kathy, Harry, all of us kids, 1 or 2 other friends, and we were using the house to play ditch 'em and hide and seek. And when we did that, it was all 3 floors. So one person's on the 1st floor, everybody goes heading up. We all seemed to head to the attic. And as we were standing there, like, where are we going to hide? We could hear our sister going, I'm coming to find you. So everybody's trying to run around. Colleen goes behind this one little area, or starts to go back there. And as she's heading back there, I'm just feeling this real, oh my God, it was such a creepy feeling. And I'm looking over at the area of the attic Colleen is walking towards. Next thing you know, she starts to scream, let go. I ran over there, and there was a hole in the floor back behind this little baseboard that her arm was literally down in there. And I grabbed her. I was having a fucking tug of war with something, trying to get her to let go. Finally, we both came flying back. And as this is going on, all the kids were all standing there watching us. As soon as Colleen and I we fell back, everybody screamed and they all went running. It took a long time before any of our friends wanted to go back up to the attic.
Can I add something real quick? What I remember is, we were playing and there was a bunch of us that ran towards the attic, but I kind of went away from the group, because I'm just this kid, 5 years old. And I had a stick. I found a stick up there. And I remember I went back away from where Joanne and her friends were, and I went towards, and I sat down, and there was this good-sized hole, and I was putting a stick in it, just like, a stick, because I wasn't paying attention to the, I mean, I was more involved, like, oh, there's a hole. I wonder if how far the stick goes down. And I had it in my right hand. I had it in my right hand, and I put the stick down. And the next thing I know, it's ripping out of my hand and pulling me down. And I'm like, I couldn't let go of the stick. And then all of a sudden, it just cut me. It ripped out of my hand and then pulled my arm down. And I remember it was like my neck was right on the floor. And I screamed. I remember screaming. I don't remember much after that because I think probably, I don't know. I remember just being like,
you might have gone into shock.
I did. I'm notorious for that. And my mom, I talked to my mom, and Joanne, you probably remember this, but Mom, when she would be home alone and all of his kids would be asleep and Dad would be at the restaurant, my mom used to sit, and my mom told me this herself, and butcher knives in her hands because of all the babies crying and women screaming, and she was terrified, and she'd run to our rooms and she'd see all of us are dead asleep. And this happened a lot.
Yeah. But, like I said earlier, the house, with me, the house didn't feel bad. Like I said, and it's just not until after Tony was born that all of this stuff started happening. Yeah. So again, it was one of those things where a lot of our friends, they experienced, they actually watched me pulling Colleen out from underneath that board area. And when we pulled back, I landed on my ass. Colleen, I just grabbed her and held her for a minute. She was shaking. I was shaking. I'm looking up and I'm like,
my hand was bleeding.
Well, what caused you to bleed?
When it got yanked, for some reason I couldn't let go of it because it was pulling. It grabbed the stick, and I thought, oh, my brothers are in the ground or in between the floors, and they're I didn't think, because you couldn't get in between. So I was like, hey, knock it out, man. And then all of a sudden it just kept, and it pulled it so far that it just yanked my whole arm down. And then as I was way down there, I just remember this pain in my hand right here. I still have a tiny scar.
Wow.
And it yanked it out, and I was bleeding. It was a bigger cut. It was just bleeding. And all I remember is that feeling, this weird, it was just alien-like on my arm. It was just like, I couldn't get it off. I was so scared, but I knew Joanne had me, but I don't remember much after leaving I don't even remember leaving the room. Joanne picked me up and just got me out of there.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I was almost the last one down those stairs, and I could not move fast enough.
Back in the attic after that, like, how long did it take for you guys to actually venture back up there after that happened?
The next day, because it was like we were all just like, did that fucking really happen? As a kid, like I said, I'm in like what, 6th, 7th grade.
Yeah.
And you're at that stage in life where it's like, you knew it happened, but you think your brain is like, I'm tricking you. So seriously, the next day we went up, we were searching all around. Colleen wouldn't go up for a long time. I mean, I can't remember how long it took. And I didn't blame her, but
I don't think I don't remember going back up there, but I probably did. Me and Robin probably snuck up there, but we stayed by the door. And her friends treated us like family. We knew all of her friends, so I felt safe with her friends, except for Cecilia.
Yeah, well, she was a white witch.
Yeah.
You probably felt that energy and you didn't know what it was. At 5 years old, you can't know what that energy would be.
True.
Right. But I do remember this, Joanne, that you would go to her house and, and I remember going there a couple times with you, but I was not allowed on the property. Cecilia would tell me to stay on the sidewalk. And you're like, why?
I remember that. Because I wouldn't have had that happen if that had happened.
Oh, that was the night when she made all the lights go out, when everybody was in trouble and everybody was out, and somebody was chasing somebody, and she made all the lights go out in the street so that people couldn't see us or see them. It was right after one of her little events that she did.
Yeah, she was a practicing witch too. Yeah. You knew she had an energy. I know you knew that, but you at 5 years old, that you're not able to comprehend that energy as right or wrong. I mean,
But I
I
wanted to
think
be
that what
around
you
her.
felt,
I
and
wanted
it's just,
I wanted to be around her, and I was told I can't, and I didn't understand that part. You know,
okay,
maybe there was just
yeah,
something
that
I
was
was gravitating. But the
that's not part of
house,
your
Probably read
training.
you could probably feel your energy too, being an empath. She probably
yeah, yeah, and I did, and not knowing I was an empath.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, at that age,
uh,
known that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a lot of things happened in that house. My mom and dad were just brutally fighting. Brutally, it was bloody. It was bad. And
Yeah.
I remember, you know, and my father died one night, and
Yeah, he
and
wasn't home either. They had such a big fight that he had left like
yeah,
so
mom
2 days
daughter become
before he
friends.
passed away. And the night
He
that
was
he
only
passed away,
he was
go
only
ahead.
39 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So the night that he had the fatal heart attack, about 2 a.m, I heard pounding on the door. It was more closer to midnight. And I could hear my mom telling my dad, no, you can't come back home. I can't do this anymore. And my dad going, but mommy, I need to be back home. My mom had said no, shut the door on him. I went back to bed, and my first thought was, why did you not let him back? 5 o'clock in the morning, there's pounding on the door. I get up, mom's at the door, going to the door. I'm getting down, I'm halfway down. She opens up, and it's two police officers, well, a detective and a police officer, and they're informing that my mom, that my dad had passed away from a heart attack about 2 o'clock that morning. And they had gotten him to Kaiser, but Kaiser there was nothing they could do. They worked on it for about 45 minutes. So,
I mean,
you know,
it was like a huge, massive heart attack.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah, it was massive coronary. So, you know, after that had happened, things still were a lot of turmoil in that house, a lot. And eventually, mom moved us up to another
How
part
long
of
did-
Oakland.
How long did you guys
No.
live there after that happened? How long? How long?
After Tony passed in that house too. Tony, our
No,
brother
we didn't.
Tony passed.
No.
We were living
Tony,
in a-
we were on Hilgert Circle when Tony passed. We moved from Staten Ave up to Hilgert Circle. That's where you started interacting more with Cecilia, because we were only 2 blocks away from her.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were
That's
up
the
on
house that
Hilgert.
burned, and that house burned down. Yeah. And
It
yeah,
didn't
my
burn
brother,
down. The bedroom burned because of my brother.
I remember they gutted that house. Our brothers. It wasn't just one of them, because he used to shoot us with the slingshot, and mom hit him. And then we had a storm, and it blew out the electricity. So they lit
Yeah.
candles, and they got excited, dropped the candles right on mom's bed. I remember that there's so many of us, we had to go stay at different houses because there's so many of us, so they could only take one. And I got to stay next door with this dog called Gamushka. And I was,
Shanushka.
yeah,
Shanushka.
and this is when I was 11. I remember this, and I got to sleep on his bed with him in his dog room, and I was in seventh heaven. I just thought this was the best thing. But when we got to go wake up and look at the house, they tore that house apart when it was destroyed. I mean, I remember that, and it burned my Susie bake oven. I remember that. Okay.
Anyway,
But
let's get
after
back to
Yeah.
Staten Avenue. Okay. Tony was born on April 29th, 1964. Dad died April 26th, 1965. So it was in that short time, that 11 months, that all of this crap happened. And right after Dad died is when Mom moved us. But while we were there, after my dad passed, my mom sat down and started telling us a little bit more about the house, that there had been a man. We had a kind of a staircase that went up, go up again, and then back over, almost like a U-turn type thing.
Yeah.
And
Remember that.
up on the second floor, he had hung himself up there. There were many times you could walk by that staircase and you just felt him up there. You just knew. And that's one of the reasons Mom would sit with a butcher knife downstairs waiting for my dad to come home. It's just, you could feel different things in that house.
The doctor,
Yeah.
the doctor hung himself? The doctor that was doing the abortions hung himself?
No,
No, he died in prison.
Oh,
That
oh,
that old man died. He was arrested, tried. He died in prison. No, I don't know who that man was. You know, we never. The real estate office never said names. Never gave us any details. The only
but
reason we knew there was a man who had hung himself was from a neighbor.
your parents knew when they moved in about the abortion doctor and about the guy that
Yeah.
died that hung himself.
They just told, from what Joanne just told me yesterday, because my mom and dad asked, why is this big giant house so cheap?
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
they
no.
said,
Now you
Yeah,
know
that's
why.
what. Yeah, like I said, when you got 9 kids and you got to house them, you need a big house.
and they told them, well, it's cheap because it's possibly haunted. And my mom and dad
It
kind of
was.
brushed it off.
But it really got started until after Tony was born, because I don't remember hearing a baby cry until after we had Tony, because we would hear that baby cry and we'd be like, we got Tony right here.
Right.
What the heck? And you'd stand there and you could hear it coming from up above you. I'd go looking and there's nobody up there. So yeah,
had the baby in the house triggered the spirits of the babies. Right?
most likely. It's just,
And
you
there's
know, you could, like I said,
so
and
many
it
of us
was not a
were young.
scream, it was a different one. It was not the same exact scream. It was, you could, I can remember at least 3 different tones, I guess, pitches of the scream. So, you know, again, the house held a lot. Mom went back to the house after we'd moved out, moved up to Helgert. My mom told me, she goes, you know, Joanne, there was something I just felt drawn and pulled back to the house one day. She had walked up to the house, and as she stood there at the door, she wanted to go in. She went and grabbed the doorknob, and she goes, Joanne, I had a shock go through my whole body.
I remember that now.
And
Mom told me
yeah,
that.
and she goes, all I could hear was a voice say, get out of here now. She goes, I ran. I didn't even look back. I'm like, I wouldn't either. So,
No, this is real stuff. This is not made up.
Yeah,
This is it traumatized a lot of us. And I believe this house, I believe I got some attachments from that house. I do. Because
I think so.
I've been haunted, and Joanne knows this. I've been haunted, and I've told her I think I'm haunted. And she's like, yeah, but you gotta think positive and don't let it get to you and all that. But I would, you know, every house I went to, something was going on. And then I'd look into history and I'm like, there's nothing here. You know, I'd stage it, clean it, and they're like, no, you know, there's nothing here. But stuff, I mean, you know, stuff would happen. Like, I'm going to talk. Can I talk, Joanne, about when I moved to Sonoma above the store? This was after I was living with you in Long Beach.
Okay. Well, I don't know if Polly wants to go into all these other different stories, or, you know what, Colleen? Honestly, Polly, it's not that Colleen is haunted, but she has had, from the time she has always been different. And I want to say different in a special way.
Okay.
She was always, you could always tell she was listening or hearing something and had this look on her face. So some of the kids would tease her saying she was crazy.
Yeah.
She was listening, she was hearing things, and you know, and when you're 5, 6, 7, what is this, you know? And because it happens, it becomes a part of you.
Yes.
And like I said, Colleen, she is very sensitive.
Yeah.
I have a sensitivity, but not like Colleen. I mean, I can walk up to somebody and I have, I better not, actually, yeah, fuck it. I have a son-in-law that he and my daughter were visiting, and we were just all talking and everything. I don't know why it was, but I had gotten up and I walked over to Steve, and as I touched him, my head went blank. It went dark. I could see this attic and this gremlin, this demon hiding at the back. So as I touched him, I said, I know you're really interested in the dark side. I said, but don't go there, not with this one. And I took my hand off and I just kind of looked at him, and he literally, he's shaking and he's like, oh. So my daughter told me later that, not the next day, that I had scared the shit out of him because he had actually been having thoughts about demons and was interested in what they meant and what they were. And, that happens. But ever since then, when I see him, the hug is like, oh, he doesn't, and I don't blame him. That was, I have had somebody come to me, start to do the treatment. And at first it freaks me until it happens to a person.
To be honest, the reason why I started my channel is because ever since I was a small child, I'm just like Colleen. My veil is very thin, and I've had so many paranormal experiences that it's almost like people don't believe me because I've had so many occurrences of different things. So Colleen are we're very much alike. I mean,
I asked my sister Joanne yesterday because when I had pneumonia. I got pneumonia when I was very young, probably not but a year old, Joanne, something like that. And I got very sick.
About a year old.
They had to do a tracheotomy because I was dying. And that's when I was really little. But then I think it was like a year later and I was walking.
When you burned your feet, you did that first, then you got pneumonia afterwards.
Oh,
because they had to do a trach on you.
Yeah.
So,
scar. Yeah, but I actually, and this is where I look back and I'm like, why would I do such a thing? I mean, children sense danger, but I guess mom had put us down for a nap. That's what my mom said. And she'd put me down for a nap because my dad had done it under in the ground barbecue, just use the ground for the heat. And he had told my brother to put the fire up, but, my brother was a kid too. And I guess I just decided to walk out of my diaper and I just stood on the coals.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what it was is there was a pool of water over the coals on the ground. And I think while Colleen, being a little kid, she just saw the water and wanted to go in the water. And as she went in the water, the coals were still burning red. So, yeah. But yeah, Polly, I told Colleen yesterday, there's, people don't seem to realize we are born with this gift. As kids get older, when you see an animal looking over you and there's nothing there, there is. Yeah. Babies and young children, they can see. And it's only because that they lose that because people are telling them there's no such thing. Oh, you're not seeing that. Oh, you don't talk.
I wish I would have lost it. It didn't go away for me. It continued and continued. I mean, I always had a hard time growing up. I went through a lot of trauma. I was super sensitive to the noise and the fighting in the house. And I would always get yelled at because I'd cry. I just couldn't handle it. And I couldn't understand the negativity. I didn't like it.
Do you think the negativity in the house is what caused your parents to fight so much?
I think, they
were both alcoholics, but it's just the fighting just seemed a little more intense to the point where Dad left at one point and went to Reno for a few weeks to work, came back, continued the fighting. It's just, I truly do not think the house brought on the fights. I don't think it helped any.
Having so many kids.
I think the way to put it, the house enjoyed it. The house enjoyed the turmoil. It fed the house. Because when I remember this, and it's a silly thing, but it wasn't silly at the time. After Daddy died, we shared rooms, and Mom had that bed to herself, and they had these glass doors to their room, to get into their room. There was something. I know it was on Staying Now because it was right after Daddy died, literally. And I remember being on her bed and I was scared. The windows were shaking, and Mom said, ignore it. And so I remember getting up and I said, because she wasn't like comforting me that much. So I ran to my brother's room. Yeah. And that's when Pat knew what it was going on. And maybe it was her circle, but I recall being there because I remember being so young. And my brother said to make the noises go away and the scary stuff, just shake your head back and forth and you'll see the Flintstones. And I did that. And it worked. And I did that till I was 16 years old. I mean, Joanne, you can confirm I'd have these big knots in my head because I would just shake
From the hair.
violently. I would shake violently to get to sleep.
Wow.
I couldn't handle the energy. I mean, it was making me feel crazy. You know, I remember being found in my mom and dad's under their sink because in their bathroom because I didn't want to hurt anybody, but I didn't want nobody to hurt me. And the police came in and said, "Weird." They put me away in a mental hospital for a couple of days instead of juvenile hall, which is great. But yeah,
What happened to the house on Staten? Like, did people still live there?
nope.
No?
It was taken, like Joanne said, they wanted to save historical houses that were that old, and it was moved
It
to
was the architect, the person, it was I guess a famous person, and because of that, they did not want to tear that house down.
And then, so what they did is they moved that one to Jack London Square, which is in Oakland, downtown. It's near the bay. It's by the thing there. And, you know, I didn't know that until 2000. It was 2005 because I went to go pick up mom. We were going to have 4th of July in Oakland at the bay, just her and I. And she said, "Oh, let's go look at our old house." And I'm like, "What house?" And she's like, "That one where you got hurt, no, you know, the attic thing." I'm like, "I thought that house was gone." She goes, "No, they moved it." And she goes, "And they painted it black." And she goes, "It's right there." And I said, "I don't want to go, Mom." And I was an adult, you know, I'll be like, in 2005, I was 40, in my 40s. And she's like, and she goes, "Just cross the street." She goes, "It's right there." And he played, oh my God, the feeling, I couldn't drive fast. I was like, "Mom," she was like, "Quit being a chicken. Let's go up." I'm like, "Nope." I said, "We're going back to the hotel." I won't go into Oakland because of that. Don't go to places back to where things happened. I can't.
Is it still?
And you shouldn't.
It's still there.
What had happened was Oakland realized that there were a number of old Victorian homes in the city that were beautiful old homes, but the people were just not, they wanted to get rid of them. So in Oakland, they actually took about 5 or 6 of these Victorian homes and they set up a little Victorian square area where 5 of these homes are. And people were living in them, you know.
I've heard about that place now. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Okay.
It's and also
here's one of those houses.
From what I understand, because once Mom showed me it was still around, and it scared me a little bit. I did, you know, I had a little computer at home. I went back and looked, and you know, wanted to see the picture of it, and it was actually also the first documented haunted house, and that's what the plaque. Joanne, you need to research that to prove it.
I haven't seen the house since we lived there.
I know for a fact. You know, I mean, we're a big family. We don't talk every day. We don't share information every day. So it wasn't like I had to call everybody and tell them what I researched. But Mom, that's probably why Mom wanted to, you know, be near it, but I didn't. But it wasn't until after that trip that I looked into it, just because I was like, what's the plaque about? First documented house in Oakland.
That's crazy. And you guys lived there.
Yeah.
Well, what documented it? And must have been after we moved out.
Well, they knew it was probably before we moved in, Joanne.
Well, yeah, but when you say documented, that means it has to be verified by somebody who knows what they're doing or saying.
And did a whole
in Oakland
episode. They did a whole episode. Some ghost hunters. I remember that's why I know. As soon as you said there was like 5 houses in that square, now I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
one of those houses is ours.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wow.
And we're all crazy.
I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy.
I am.
I feel like it sometimes, but I know I'm not. Because I've got a lot more stories. You know, I know we can't jump, but I've got.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I think that's it about that house.
Yeah.
Like more of you guys' stories. Oh my gosh. This is gonna be fun. We're gonna have like a 4-part series.
Yeah. Yeah, because I would like, you know, I'd like to talk about my alien stuff.
We're gonna talk about that for sure. That'll be a different episode for sure.
Yeah, so you know, Colleen, I think because a lot you've got more stories, you know, and you know me, I'm like, okay, I believe you because we've been through this shit together. So maybe Polly and you need to get together again and start discussing those other issues, those other stories, because I'm telling you, Polly, she's been through some stuff. She has. And I'm telling you, a lot of people don't believe that there could be a connection between people. When I was in Hawaii, I was up on top of the roof of this condo looking at the falls, and Colleen happened to call me on the cell. I'm like, hey, what's up? She's going, oh my God, what a beautiful waterfall. I'm like, yeah, that's Noah Falls. I said, hold on. I turned around and went and looked over at the ocean and looked right at, Diamond Head. I'm like, yeah, what am I looking at now? She goes, and Colleen goes, that's a beautiful ocean. And is that a volcano there? Colleen was seeing everything I was seeing. So every so often, she'll verify it. I can tell when she's here.
And then if she doesn't respond, I'll keep it to myself. And then all of a sudden, because I couldn't share it or I couldn't release what I was seeing, I'll call her and my energy is like really elevated. My anxiety is like, ugh. She's like, calm down. At times she couldn't even talk to me. She's like, Colleen, you've got to calm down. You've got to, I can't talk to you right now. You're so up there. You're so out there right now. You've got to come back. And I'd be like, but I don't know how. I don't know how. And then I'd be like, okay, I would take her advice. And I would just do that, but I'd be like shaking for hours going, okay, how do I bring that? And it was because I was seeing things and I wanted to talk about it. And I couldn't, people that don't see what I see, I was cold crazy. Like I'm just, or making it up. And when I started studying astrology, it helped calm me down. Yeah, because it told me, you're not this horrible person. You've got all this talent and you're this bright light. And I'm all like, what? Me? After, living in all these haunted houses and people abusing me and this and that. Are you kidding me? I'm a bright light, and it took me years to understand. But I still get, I still sometimes if my energy's up, I can't call her because it affects her so bad.
She gets on the phone, and as soon as she's talking, I'm like, Colleen, take a deep breath with me right now. And we would do that a few times because by the time, if we don't, I'm like this because I can feel that anxiety she's going on. That's going through her. And I love her because she doesn't subject me to that too often. And I need to realize that when she needs me, Colleen, if you ever hear me say, get out of my head, you call me. You call me and say, oh, hell no. I don't ever want, even if you are anxious.
Yeah, I have. And I picked it up and I'm like, no, I need to talk to you about something. And I would tell you something that's going to happen or what I felt. And you're like, oh shit. Okay, Colleen. Oh shit. And so, she would go, okay, all right. But damn, Colleen, please bring your energy down when you're explaining stuff because you get so, and she would feel it so directly.
My heart on my chest. I have anxiety problems as it is. And my poor sister, like I said, all I have to hear is 2 words. And, this thing between Colleen and I, my mom's side of the family, she had a great aunt who could tell when things happened. And the one story Mom would always tell us was apparently her cousin had gotten stung by a bee. The great aunt and great uncle went by horseback to go get the doctor. They were halfway to the doctor's and she stopped and she said, it's too late. He's gone. They went and got the doctor anyway, brought him back. Sure enough, at that moment when she said it happened. And my mom, when I was pregnant with my last 2 kids, my mom actually called me the morning that I went into labor. And I'm not in labor. She goes, oh, Joanne, get ready. You're in labor. And sure enough, later that day, and as she's telling me this, I'm like, Mom, I've still got, another week to go. I'm not in labor. And maybe it's psychosomatic, but I'm telling you, my last 2 kids, she called me and she go, my back is killing me. You're in labor. I'm not in labor, Mom. Yes, you are. I was.
Families just have that gift. They just have that gift. Because my grandma actually had that premonition gift. And I have that premonition gift. It's so weird. Some families, I think it just goes down the family line. And some people, some of the members of the family get that gift. I used to think it was a curse. Actually, now I embraced it. And now I realize that, it's actually a gift. And but yeah, I'm telling you, my family has the same thing. My grandma had it. I have it. My
It makes you anxious and kind of nervous, but then all of a sudden, if you embrace it, it's like I told Colleen yesterday, people who've gone through what you, us, others have gone through. We are a tribe. We are, and there is a group of us that, even though we may not have anything else in common, we are a part of that tribe. And nobody outside of that tribe ever really wants to believe or acknowledge that this can happen because it hasn't happened to them. You know, and it's like, if it hasn't happened to you, it doesn't happen. So
there's skeptics in every subject, right? I mean, there's skeptics in pretty much any subject that you want to talk about, right?
Oh,
there's gonna be the naysayer. That's just
it is. And again, I reflect back to, wow, I remember something. I feel blessed. I feel we are lucky to be who we are.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys so much. Have a great
All right, Colleen, I'll call you in a little bit.
Okay, I love you. Okay,
I love you. Thank you again for having us, Polly.
No, thank you for telling your story. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for listening. You be safe, okay?
You too.